Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Neological podcast.
Hello.
How you doing, Cristine?
I'm great. How are you?
You got a cat in your lap there.
I got a cat in my lap. I'm living in the great indoors. So excuse Menchie's little bell there. You want to go on the floor, Mench? Okay, there you go.
You need to speak into the microphone, not into the cat.
Sorry, now I'm here.
So considering everything going on in the world right now, we thought it would be a fun distraction to have a podcast where we just fantasized about dream vacations. And selfishly, this is probably for me more than Cristine, as some of you may have watched the Simply Neological channel over the years would know that I'm someone who is always asking that we go on a vacation. And it's really because we work very hard between our multiple jobs that I think it's important sometimes to give yourself a break. And to me, a break would be, going on a trip somewhere and relaxing.
Yeah, I always thought that staying at home was like a vacation to me. But now I'm reconsidering that.
After the last few days, yeah.
It's been a week now.
Has it been a week? Yeah.
Of basically staying home. Yeah. Which I know I've joked about in the past, like all I do is stay home. I never leave the house. But what this has taught me, this like staying at home thing, is that I see people regularly that I don't realize like have an important impact on my life in some way. Like even though it's small, like Ben and I, the only people we've really seen in the last week is each other.
Yeah, are we starting to drive each other a little nuts? A little bit,
That's
right?
I'm used to seeing coworkers or people at the gym.
Unless you're the most extreme introvert, you probably don't realize that just seeing other people and having some level of social interaction is probably important to your mental
I'm
health.
an introvert too, but even as an introvert, whether I'm talking about like my life 10 years ago or now, you still see people. Like you might still be a student, you still go to school, or you might work a job, and usually at your job you're going to see some people.
But it's like you can't win either way, right? You see people, you get anxious. You don't see any people for days.
Well, I mean, I'm not one to step into big crowds anyways, so sure. I'm totally fine with not, participating in crowds of 50 people or more. But just the day-to-day seeing people at work, like talking to coworkers, the tea club, like at work.
I mean, not to make this about your anxiety, but the first time I realized you were an introverted person and were anxious about being around lots of people was the first trip we took together when we went to New York. And I thought I was impressing you by going to New York and going to some fancy restaurants. And we did some of those touristy things you would do in New York.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember having to put on a face. So I guess this is a vacation story that we can talk about.
Yeah, there you go. Why
so
not?
I've shown a picture before of us in New York. This was maybe a year into us first dating, so 7 years ago.
I think it was earlier than that. We hadn't even been dating that long.
Was it? I don't know. Can't remember. So long ago. But I remember you like saying you wanted to take me to New York. It would be a big trip. It would be so much fun. And I felt like I had to hide that I wasn't that excited to go. Because I was like, I don't really want to go to this big city.
It's funny. I thought I was really impressing you. And meanwhile, like I could tell while we were there, like just waiting in the subway to get on a train or like briefly going to Times Square just to say we've been to Times Square. I could tell you were like super uncomfortable being in those places.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but large crowds, especially like tourist attractions where there's just so many people just standing there right around you. And I know they're not paying attention to me. Like, that's not what it is. I understand that. But it makes me anxious, and I'd rather be in smaller groups.
All right, so maybe we should just start then by establishing the fact before we get to what are those dream vacations, acknowledging the fact that you have traveled very little in your life. You haven't been many places.
Cristine doesn't like vacations.
Cristine's led a sheltered, small life.
I mean, it's not sheltered, really. It's my choice mostly that I haven't gone on big vacations. I've generally just declined the offers when they've come to me.
Okay.
The offers, like who am I getting offers from?
Who's
I don't
offering? VidCon?
No. So I've never been across an ocean.
That's crazy to me.
But I've been to the Caribbean islands. So wait, does that count? Because you're flying over water.
You've never been to Europe, let's say.
I've never been to Europe, UK, Australia. I've never been to Hawaii. So I guess where have I been?
You've never been on a flight longer than like 4 or 5 hours.
5 hours.
Right?
Going to California would be the longest flight.
Yeah. So where have you been then?
Yeah, because it's a shorter list where I have been than where I haven't, which is the rest of the world, which is so many places.
That's true for most people, but especially for you.
For me. So I haven't even been that many places in Canada. Only last year, for the first time, we went to the West Coast. We went to Banff, Alberta. Yeah. That's the only time I've been there. I have never been to the East Coast in the Maritimes. Never.
Sure. Or BC, the other side.
Never been to BC. Yeah. The only other place near me, like I've been to parts of Quebec. Been to like Mont Tremblant and Montreal. I grew up in Toronto. Does that count? Because that's not Ottawa where I am now.
I think a lot of Canadians probably haven't seen a ton of Canada though, just because when you think of going on a vacation, you typically
you'd rather pick something else and something generally warmer. So.
I'm not sure if that's smart though. Like I haven't been to the East Coast either, and I'd love to make it out there at some point.
I hear they have red sand there. That's what my boss told me. She's like, you should go. It's red. It's really pretty.
Okay, so where have you been outside of Canada?
So Florida, we used to go as a family like every year. That was our vacation during March break because my grandmother, one of them, lives down there. Oh, and to answer everyone's question, I know a lot of people were concerned last week when I mentioned that my grandmother was still in Florida and we were worried about getting her back here because she's a Canadian citizen, so she comes back here. And thank you everyone for your concern. She did come home just 2 days ago. My dad was able to get her on like a quicker flight earlier than she originally booked it for, and she got home safely, and she will be in self-isolation for 14 days.
That's right.
Yeah.
Locked her in the apartment.
So my dad went over and got her a bunch of groceries and stuff so she can just make do. Sorry, Grandma, you're not going to Aquafit. Like, you're going to stay at home. Yeah. She's well. She's 90 years old. Yeah. So I was kind of like freaking out. I guess she better get home. I hope they don't close the border on her. But she's a Canadian citizen. So even though we've all heard like the borders are closing, they were still, I mean, at this time anyways, letting Canadians come home.
Well, yeah, it may become more difficult for Canadians to get back to Canada, but I don't think any country will really take the step of, if you're a Canadian citizen, you're going to be allowed back into Canada. It's just a question of, can you logistically figure out a way? Or if you are sick or have any symptoms, you're not getting on a flight either, right? Right.
So she was healthy.
Yeah.
So she was able to get back. So thank you guys. Honestly, I know a lot of people were worried on my behalf or her behalf.
That's very sweet.
So, yeah.
And if things hadn't gone the way they've gone the past few weeks, we would have been in Florida a few days from now visiting her and Robin Crin from Threadbanger as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that vacation was canceled.
There you go.
So I've been to Florida a lot.
So you used to go there as like a kid as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandmother's always lived there as long as I can remember.
She lived there for the winters. She's a snowbird, right? I think a lot of Canadians will know what that means, but a lot of older Canadian people who can afford to.
They're like, fuck winter.
Yeah, they basically moved to Florida for like 4 or 5 months of the year.
Just during winter. But they usually remain Canadian citizens because they just want the benefits of being Canadian.
Well, yeah.
For other reasons.
They're not getting American citizenship. That would be hard to do. But
they just go live in the South for a few months.
Just pay for your health insurance for a few months. And,
yeah. That was another reason, I think, why it was important for her to come back here. Just if anything were to happen, I'm sure she'd rather be in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, grandma's good.
Okay.
Where else have I been? I've been to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
It was actually a big vacation with my family. My grandmother took all of us. I think it was my dad's 50th birthday. I can't remember.
So how long ago?
10 years ago.
You were a teenager? Or no?
Yeah, in university. Okay. So I think that makes sense. Something like that.
You're 2021.
I've been on a cruise once. Probably 10 years ago, something like that.
Okay. How
and
was that?
It went to some of the Caribbean islands. So Dominica, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, a few of those. And
it's one of those deals where like you deboard and briefly.
Yeah. But it was like a 7-day cruise.
You sleep on the boat though, right?
Yeah. And I'm never going on a cruise. And not just because of the coronavirus. Right but after that, I was so sick to my stomach. I was on gravel.
Oh, do you get seasick?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I didn't throw up or anything, so it wasn't that severe, but I was just so sick I couldn't enjoy myself. I didn't want to drink at all at the time. I like would have liked to drink.
Sure.
Because I was, young and fresh and 20 years old.
Fresh.
Whatever. But no, it was awful. And the cruise ship itself, like I was so much happier once we got off on the islands and got to explore and just like feel the nice humidity of the climate.
You didn't want to get back on a boat.
But the cruise ships were kind of like gross. And I felt claustrophobic, honestly, in the cabins.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible. Like, nothing about a cruise appeals to me. And that has nothing to do with what's going on now. It's just I've never been interested in being on a cruise. Have we never been on a boat together, though? How did I not know that you got seasick? Did you get seasick?
Well, I get car sick, too.
Actually, yeah, I knew that.
It's true. When I'm on Twitter for too long in the car, I get car
Christine
sick.
can't look at her phone in the car for too long.
Without
I think
being
a lot
like,
of people get that.
Open
You
the
get
window.
motion
I'm getting
sickness.
sick.
Maybe just sick of all the garbage you're seeing on Twitter.
Yeah.
So is that it? We're talking Florida, a cruise, the Dominican Republic one time.
Is that it? I feel like I'm forgetting things.
I don't know.
Oh, obviously we've been to LA a few times for VidCon.
Yeah. Let's make a distinction between,
Vacation
travel,
and work.
vacations we've had. And yeah, obviously more lately there have been some opportunities that have come your way because of YouTube. Where, VidCon says, hey, do you want to come to VidCon London? And we ultimately didn't go to that one.
Or VidCon Australia.
Or VidCon Australia as well, yeah. Or, but we've been going to LA quite a bit the last few years to go to VidCon or to go to things like the Streamies or just to visit some of the friends we've made through the industry now.
And New York as well for Holo Taco.
Actually, yeah, good point. So Holo Taco's operations are out of New York and New Jersey, sort of the warehouse and the headquarters are sort of split between the two states. So yeah, we've had quite a few trips down to New York in the
We've
last
also been to
while.
New York for YouTube Creators Summit.
Yeah.
2 years, I think. But these are all, I guess, work related or YouTube.
Traveling for work is
related.
very different than vacation. And I understand, like, in some ways you can try to make it satisfy both those itches. Like, you were invited to Graveyard Girls
oh yeah,
makeup palette
Austin,
restock.
Texas.
Yeah. Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. what did I
What did you
say?
say?
I don't know. Oh my god.
But we were only there for a weekend. And we didn't get to do a ton, but I thought we got like this brief experience of the city outside of having to go to some beauty guru party. That was a very strange experience.
It was fun though, like something I would like normally never do. Go to a makeup palette launch party.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that. Yeah, I went to Graveyard Girls Tarte palette launch party 4 years ago. It was a really long time ago.
She seemed very nice to me, and I got along with her boyfriend, who calls himself the Dog Man.
Yeah, Dog Man, yeah.
Just Dog Man, not the Dog Man. I can't remember.
One or the other.
Pretty strange thing to call yourself. He seemed like a very sweet guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also kind of strange because I guess we didn't have many YouTube friends at the time.
I was just so flattered at the time to be invited to like a makeup launch party, and like Bunny personally invited me, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to Dallas, Texas.
So yeah, we've been to Texas. Everything is bigger there. Can confirm. The guy who picked us up from the airport, this was right after Trump got elected, actually.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't say this. But the guy who picked us up from the airport was like talking to us about guns and how many guns he had, and was complaining about Hillary Clinton. Like, we very quickly realized we were in.
It was so different. Yeah, I find that so fascinating. I mean, not fascinating, poor choice of words, but maybe like a little scary, because the first thing the driver did was ask us, like, where are you coming from? And we're like, Canada. And then he just went on a rant about how we don't have guns and he does. And I was like, okay.
Like, do you have one right now?
Oh my God.
Is there one in the car?
He's like, I believe in open carry. And,
Yeah.
Anyways, it's just very different culturally. So when I do travel some places, I really notice the difference.
But this is also the benefit of traveling. It opens up your
So you can
world
learn
to
things,
how different parts of the world just have different cultures, and
No, I understand, but I'm also just comfortable here.
Don't you think it's possible to be too comfortable though? Like, when I was in high school, my family and I went on a trip to Italy, and I remember that feeling like a kind of important moment in me growing up, because it was the first time I really saw how differently some people live, and I think mostly from a work culture perspective.
Yeah.
I don't mean to suggest Italian people are lazy, or I don't want people to get the wrong impression here.
But they have different like hours of work, and
But
they
there's
respect
this
family time.
totally,
Right?
yeah, there's this totally different cultural expectation, at least from what I observed, about people not just working themselves to death like we see in a lot of Western societies or
Like
in the
hustle
US
harder.
and Canada. Hustle. Just the idea of like the lawyer who has a heart attack at age 35 because he works like 70-hour weeks, like
Yeah.
that's insane. But the idea of like, I remember being in Italy and like at certain times it was difficult, like the shops just closed down for a certain time in the afternoon. I don't know if it was a particular time of year or if that was just a thing, but it's like, no, people just decide not to work sometimes, so you won't be able to get something from the store. And people just had this there was a different pace of life there. Like children were drinking wine there. It's just seeing the way different cultures live without judging it, but just observing and making you question some of the things you take for granted about the way you live your own life where you live right now.
Yeah.
So that's one place I've been. Maybe we'll talk about my travel history a little bit more.
Yeah, Ben, where have you been on vacation?
So Italy, like I just said, was a family trip.
How old are you?
I was still in high school, but I think close to done high school. So I must have been 16, 17, something like that. And that was a fun trip. Although traveling with your family is pretty different than traveling on your own or with a significant other, right? So that is one place I'd like to go with you at some point. You know, best meal I've ever had in my life.
What was it?
Was in Tuscany. It was this pasta and this truffle sauce.
Was it gnocchi?
Oh, it was so good. No,
You love gnocchi.
I do love gnocchi.
Was it hummus?
We don't eat a lot of pasta though.
Ben,
Low carb.
Where's
low
hummus
carb.
from?
Where is it? I think it's.
Is it-
I think that's somewhat contested. You know,
Is it Lebanese?
I think Lebanese people want to take
Or
credit.
is it Mediterranean, like Greek?
I think around that whole region, a lot of people.
So we have
were
to go to all those
mashing
places and
chickpeas.
try all their hummus.
Got a hummus tour of the world.
Hummus tour.
That would be fun.
It's the world hummus tour.
I think my perspective on travel is different too, because when I was, I guess 10 or 11 years old, my dad worked for the government here in Canada, for Transport Canada, basically the government agency that regulates travel, and he was specifically in aeronautical law. He's got a background in law, and he got offered a job to work for basically the same agency but the Australian version. So in 1997, I think, when I'm like 9 years old or 8 years old, our whole family just picked up and moved to Australia, which was like a pretty crazy experience. It was pretty eye-opening. I really feel for people who have to move around a lot when they're younger.
Because of their parents.
They have to pick up and put new roots down. So even though we just moved there for 2 years and then moved back to Canada, it really sort of interrupted that process of like developing that stable friend group through like grade school and grade 7 and 8 and high school and all that. So I remember that being strange. And I think for that reason, I remember not being too happy about it. In retrospect, though, I realized it was I was very fortunate to have that experience, that I can say I lived in a different country. I kind of experienced their different culture, got to see some amazing wildlife, and
Kangaroos.
we snorkeled the Great Barrier Reef. I think my parents did a pretty good job of like, knowing that we wouldn't live there forever. We did take the opportunity to travel around and see different parts of Australia. And that is another place I would like to
go on vacation.
I would like to go on a vacation to Australia with you. The problem there is just getting to Australia
is so far.
Oh, that flight is brutal.
Guys, it's so far.
I
it's
remember
further than 6 hours away.
When we did it back then, they couldn't even fuel the planes long enough that you couldn't fly direct from Canada to Australia. So the plane would have to stop in the middle of the ocean, land in Hawaii just to refuel.
That's kind of scary. Like, what if you miss Hawaii?
What if they missed?
What if
We missed it. We're just
What
into
if
the
you just
ocean.
miss and then you're like,
I don't
oh
think they're
shit,
gonna-
we out
it's
of
a-
fuel.
It's a pretty big island.
Houston.
But I remember it's also a cool opportunity that one of the times we actually just stopped in Hawaii for a few days rather than just continuing the trip. So I've been to Hawaii as well. And
So was that when you were in Hawaii, it was kind of like a vacation stopover?
it was just a way of breaking up the
But when you've been in
19 hours
Australia,
of travel time.
you lived there.
Yeah, so Australia, I lived there for 2 years and went to school. So it didn't feel like a vacation, if that's what you're asking. And actually, the really the weird thing about that too was their school year starts at a different time. So I had to jump ahead half a grade when we were there. And I remember that being like kind of tough and stressful, and all the kids seemed
What
like
was
a
it
little
like
further
to
than
not be
me.
the smartest person in the class anymore, Ben?
It
Tell us.
fucked my shit up, man.
How awful was it, Ben? Tell us more. Teach us.
Well, I think the bigger takeaway is when I came back to Canada and all of a sudden I was half a grade ahead of people. That probably explains my arrogance.
Yeah. This explains a lot about you, Ben.
I remember coming, like, this is going to sound arrogant. I remember coming back to Canada and like going into whatever grade it would have been, 5 or 6 or something. And sitting down in this class, and the teacher's like reading to the class, and I'm just looking around at these kids being like, holy shit, am I back in kindergarten? It just felt so strange. I don't know, it's a very vivid memory for me of how different that was. Anyway, I'm getting kind of sidetracked. So Australia, lived in for a while, super awesome experience. The best and worst thing about Australia from my perspective is the wildlife. They've got
best and worst.
Yeah, because the wildlife is amazing. They've got beautiful like birds and mammals, marsupials, like the kangaroos and stuff that everyone wants to see. It's just incredible to see if you're into wildlife at all, I guess. But on the flip side, and maybe I shouldn't tell you this because it might discourage you from wanting to go, but like the insects, the spiders, the snakes are
centipedes.
No centipede. Well, the thing is, like the really big spiders, I remember being the freakiest thing to me, like the huntsmans.
Don't they have tarantulas?
I don't know about that, but it's not the big spiders you should be concerned about. Like, yeah, they're scary looking. It's actually the small, colorful ones, like the redbacks, the black ones with like the red speck. Like there is insects there that can mess you up if you get stung by them. That's kind of scary. And maybe more so or more relatable is I remember we'd go biking a lot there, and I think it was my dad had like a white helmet, and we'd be biking along, and these birds would just attack him. Magpies would just attack people biking by with helmets. I think they cared more about white helmets than others because they thought it was just another bird swooping by. But like birds would attack you, and occasionally like on the bike trail, like you'd notice there's just like some brown snake on the bike path.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, the wildlife there is amazing and also kind of terrifying.
And that's like in the city though?
Yeah, this was in Canberra, the capital of Australia.
Like I can understand if you're in a more rural area, but like here we have, there might be bears or coyotes in a rural area, but you're definitely not going to see that in the city.
No, we're like, this isn't like on my street. I'm not seeing a kangaroo hop down my street.
That would be really
But if
cute.
I go to like a park or a field nearby where there is some wildlife, like it wasn't weird to see kangaroos in random places sometimes too. Kind of like deer would be in Canada, occasionally you'll see a deer by the side of the road if you're driving kind of outside of the city a little bit. Kangaroos, I think, are kind of similar to that.
They're cute.
They are cute.
Never met one, but they look cute.
I would like you to meet a kangaroo.
Okay. I mean, no promises.
So other than that, the only other, I guess, big trip I've taken is I went to Turkey with a few friends from high school when we were all in undergrad. Trying to remember when this would have been. I had a friend who was Turkish, so I don't think I would have gone if I didn't know someone who spoke Turkish and was able to sort of show us around. But that was a really interesting trip as well. So I can technically say I've been to Asia just because Istanbul is a city that actually is both on the European and Asian side, which is a really fascinating city. I had a good time in Turkey, especially Cappadocia was a really interesting place. If you've ever seen the pictures, if you've ever seen pictures of people taking hot air balloons over like these domed, sort of really old looking houses, sort of like carved out of the stone almost. It's hard to describe, but Turkey's was an interesting place, let's say.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I had an interesting time in Turkey.
Were any of those a dream vacation, or have you still not satisfied your dream vacation?
Well, I mean, It's not like you take a vacation and like, oh, I don't need to take vacations
Isn't
anymore.
that how it works, though? See, that's what I don't understand.
You just can't relate to this
Because
at all. Eh?
I feel like Ben and I have argued about this before. He'll tell me, Cristine, you just need a vacation and then you'll feel better. You'll feel more rested and stress-free and you can get back to work and like feel good about it and just take a break. But for me, anytime I go on vacation or take a break really from my work, it doesn't matter where I am, if I'm in the sun or not, I'm just thinking about what I need to do when I get home. I don't know how to just relax. And if I do, then I'm just setting myself up for more stress when I return. So even if I do, and I have occasionally, like if we go to a spa or some shit, or I'm with Corinne and she's like, relax, girl. And like, yes, it is true that I eventually will learn how to stop thinking about things I need to do. But practically speaking, upon return from said vacation, you still have shit to do.
Yeah, but you don't feel at all refreshed or recharged from having taken a break from things?
No, I feel like now I have less time to do what I need to do in because I just spent the last however many days not doing it.
What's your plan here? Just like work until you're in the grave? I don't get it.
I don't know.
I know what you mean because we went to Vermont once together. My sister lived in Vermont. Remember,
Yeah.
we drove down there. Beautiful. But yeah, like 2 days into the trip, we're sitting by the pool and you're just like stressed out. And I'm like, what's wrong? You're like, I feel like I should be working right now. I should be home making a YouTube video.
I just had so much stuff to do. And I knew that when I got home, I would have to do it all in less time. That's the biggest problem. If you return from vacation and let's say like the rest of the world froze for that week that you were away, then everything is equal. So then that would be fine. But that's not how reality works.
Oh yeah, life doesn't work that way.
No.
I mean, I don't really relate to what you're saying at all, to be honest. But I do kind of get, you know how sometimes people complain when they get back from a vacation, like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah.
Probably just means you're vacationing wrong. But like, I kind of get it, right? Like, you can get different things from a vacation. Maybe you want to go somewhere and just experience as much and do as much interesting and random stuff you can do in that place as possible before you come back. And with those types of vacations, like, yeah, they're probably not relaxing because you were trying to do like way too much. Like when we went to Banff with Rob and Corinne, I had planned out like a lot of stuff for us to do. And then I think like 5 days into the trip, we were all just like, tired. we just want to nap on the couch and go to the bar and have a drink. And that's fine too, right? Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be coming back from a vacation, I think, feeling exhausted. I don't think that's the point. I guess I have some cognitive dissonance, right? Like a perfect vacation is one where you both get that relaxation, but you also get the interesting culture or history or activities that are unique to that particular place. So if you ask me what my dream vacation is right now, I want my answer to be like, I want to go somewhere super different and interesting and exotic and do weird stuff and also get that relaxation component. But if I'm being completely truthful and honest, I've swung more in the direction of, because we spend so much time working and we don't often give ourselves a break, I am more interested in those kinds of trips or vacations that are about relaxing. Like if I close my eyes right now and picture my dream vacation, we're in a hotel room. It has its own private infinity pool. You're wearing a little bathing suit there.
Okay, please stop now.
You want me to stop?
Just stop. Everyone is rolling their eyes.
But seriously, just the idea of going somewhere like Santorini in Greece, if it was less busy and full of tourists, but just having like some private place where we could just relax in the sun and not worry about everything else going on.
That sounds nice, but my dream vacation is one where when I come back, I don't come back to more work
but that's
or
not
work
the vacation.
that I need to make up
That says
for.
nothing about the vacation. That just says something about how you're living the rest of your life, Cristine.
Okay. Are you my psychologist?
Do you want to actually get into
Simply
this?
therapy session.
I feel like in the past few months you have gotten better at managing.
I've been going to bed at a reasonable hour. Okay. I am doing very well.
And you have put less pressure on yourself to always be putting out content or getting things done. Like
that's only 2020, but now 2020 is just completely canceled. So
yeah, I guess it's hard to say at this point. But if your response to dream vacation, the first thing that pops into your head is
what I'm
how
gonna have
much
to do
you
when
have
I
to
get
do at
home.
home, yeah, that's a problem with how you're living the rest of your life, not with their.
But is it though, or am I just an incredibly productive person who gets shit done? And I don't think that you should hate on me for that.
So I'm not hating on you, and I recognize that you get a lot of satisfaction and feelings of self-worth from getting things done, and I do too. I can relate to that, but I can't relate to it to the point where I can't enjoy myself if we take a week away and travel somewhere. All right. Next episode of Couples Therapy.
But I feel like this is good because maybe this is an addendum to our relationship podcast. And maybe you guys can relate out there if you have a significant other who just has a different perspective on taking vacations or how you spend like your free time together. Because I'm someone who always kind of wants to work because I'm fixated on being productive, which I think ultimately is a good thing for me, not just because of whatever success, but also it just keeps me mentally well to be on a routine and doing things and producing things and feeling like happy and proud when I work on this and accomplish and like little checkbox and project lists. That's just how I am my best self.
And there is a funny sort of contradiction here that the people who do, I mean, unless you inherited money, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the fact that we've worked really hard and it's mostly your drive that has led to the success we have now and the financial security we have.
The only way we can take nice vacations is because of the work I do. Is that what you're trying to say, Ben?
So I can't get too mad at the fact that you just want to keep working. But it's just sort of frustrating to know we do all of this. We have the financial means because of it. But then we're not really using that money to do the amazing things we could afford to do now because we're just still stuck in like, let's just work all the time mode.
Well, you mean we're stuck at home?
We are stuck at home.
We are literally stuck at home.
Along with everyone else.
Sorry, Ben. Can't go anywhere for a long time now.
I'm hoping one day I'll crack your shell and I'll convince you that we should just travel more. Maybe
But now I am more scared.
Well, like, yeah, right?
Right now. Like
we're not going to be traveling anywhere anytime soon. But maybe I think you're sort of realizing how you're feeling a little weird about staying in the house all the time now. Maybe you also realize, hey, there is some value in getting out of the house and getting out of the city and exploring a little bit. Yeah. So now is the time where we could write down some ideas of places we would want to go or see once we are able to. And
once the world isn't doomed.
Once we're not actually prevented from leaving the country.
But it's not just a government imposed restriction. Even if they lift the restriction, there's going to be a ton of people with anxiety over traveling just in general after all this.
I'm not going to be signing up for those first flights or cruises.
A Groupon to a cruise after this?
Yeah, really. But you're right. The psychology of that, these industries are going to be damaged for a long time. And not just travel, right? Like the sports leagues, which have all been suspended as of right now, when they say, okay, we're going to be playing games again, are people just going to rush back into stadiums crowded with people? I don't think so. And even workplaces, right? Like right now we're working from home. When they tell us, okay, you can come back in the office, I'm not going to be first in line to go back into the workplace, right?
Nope.
Yeah. So we asked on Twitter some ideas of dream vacation destinations. Maybe tell me, please, if any of them pique your interest at all.
Okay, guys.
And could potentially be somewhere
in
you'd
another
be willing to go.
Where the state of the world was not as it is today. Let me consider your suggestions.
You're just one of those. You're never even going to retire, eh? Like, you're just going to be one of those people who works forever. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of those people live long and healthy lives because that's your purpose.
Work doesn't have to be a negative thing, okay, buddy? I don't like the negative connotation of like you're just gonna work forever, as if that's awful. What if what your job is or what you're working at is something you like? It is possible, folks.
Do you think it's possible to work too much?
I mean, like, it depends. If it is a detriment to your mental health or to your physical health.
Ding, 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 ding.
No, what do you say? No, I'm fine. That's what I'm saying. Everything is fine. It depends how it makes you feel. And if it makes you just, like, a better, I was going to say productive. And then I was like, wait, no, if I say that, that's bad.
All your ideas of self-worth come down to how productive you are.
Okay, well, that's how
Tell
I measure
me more about your
myself.
childhood.
I
Did
was
you
a
not get
child
enough
actor.
positive reinforcement from your
I was
schoolwork?
put to work at the age of 9.
All right, enough psychotherapy. Let's
Yeah.
look at some of these
Okay,
vacation suggestions. Noemi
Noemi?
on Twitter says, I would love to go to a warm place like Bali to escape Quebec endless winters.
Okay, I can relate to this because I also hate the cold, and here we live in Ottawa, Canada.
And why do we live here?
I don't
then?
know. Healthcare.
You know we could move,
Society.
right?
I mean, like, I have eczema and really dry skin.
Eczema.
Eczema. Whatever. And exactly how Noemi feels is how I feel every winter. My skin is just like disgusting. And when I go to Florida, usually once a year, I feel such a great like relief on my skin. The humidity, it just soaks right in. Or I guess it's not that humid, but it's just the climate is so different. It heals my skin for a week. It feels so good. The air to breathe in. So yeah, I totally get the desire to go to a warm place. Bali I've never been to, obviously.
I hear they have monkeys there. I would like to meet a monkey.
Because you copyrighted Boo Boo. You love monkeys.
I like monkeys. Yeah,
We know.
I think they're interesting.
And bananas. Do they have bananas in Bali? Would you like a banana Bali tree?
I want a monkey to like steal my glass. Like you can find videos
Like Curious
online.
George?
No, like they're smaller monkeys. Isn't Curious George a chimpanzee?
I don't know the specifics, Ben.
I'm not a monkey expert over
I
here.
don't know. Jane Goodall over here.
Jane, I love Jane Goodall.
Of course you do.
I would like to go to Bali. I know a certain friend of ours was interested in going to
Rob.
Bali too. Yeah, Rob lately will message us sometimes just being like, let's go to Bali.
This was before the coronavirus.
Yeah. Okay, not right
But
now.
we were thinking after Florida of going to Bali, and I was even considering it, even though it's
Were
really
you?
fucking far. Like, how long was the
Yeah,
flight?
so obviously all of that will be put on hold at this point, but we were bouncing around some ideas of somewhere else interesting we could go.
Some of the pictures look honestly amazing, like
Yeah.
with the trees and the vines in someone's little backyard. It just looks so cool. The
Well,
trees and the vines,
you
that's
can
what
get
stood
an
out to me.
infinity pool there, so it might
Yes,
fulfill
Ben.
my
Ben can have
fantasy.
his fancy pool.
I like the suggestion. I'm down with Bali. Michelle C on Twitter. My boyfriend really wants to go on an Antarctic cruise so he can see penguins.
You know, I think Antarctica is the only place without COVID-19. So, you know, she might be onto something.
Yeah.
I would love to go see some penguins there right now.
Actually, yeah, there are no confirmed cases to my knowledge as of a few days
There's
ago.
no travel transmission because no one is voyaging over there.
Yeah, I guess with just a lot less travel, yeah, you're not getting it.
Penguins, can they fly over oceans?
But like even the Canadian territories right now, like Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Yukon, I don't think they have
don't have
any
any.
confirmed
Yeah.
cases. Although that could also be a matter of just testing. You never know, right? A lot of these places maybe just are having less tests done as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
But,
what do you think?
I like it.
Is this something you would consider doing?
I mean, I guess I would want to just do my research first
Yeah.
and look at the temperature of exactly how cold it gets.
Yeah. Good point.
I mean, I'm used to cold because we live here in Ottawa, Canada, but there is a certain like threshold that I probably don't want to pass. If it's going to be minus 30 degrees Celsius or colder, I probably don't want to go.
Not into it.
No.
Yeah, I remember when we went to Banff with Red Banger 2 Christmases ago now. A lot of people were commenting like, why, like, you finally get to go
Yeah.
on a vacation. Why did
Why
you
would you
just
pick
choose
a
somewhere
cold place?
cold, right?
It wasn't that cold.
We got really lucky with the weather because it was like beautiful and snowy, but they got these things. What's the word for it? Chinook? Or maybe is that the...
I don't know.
I can't remember the right word, but they get these warm fronts over the mountains that even though it's cold enough for snow and everything, the air is actually not that cold.
It was pleasant.
So we got really lucky. It wasn't until the end of the trip things started getting really cold.
Yeah.
But I don't regret that at all. I had a great time in Banff, but I do really want to go back there during the summer months.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be a completely different experience. Like we wouldn't be skiing or dog sledding or anything like that, right? But there's all these hiking trails that open up to you and things like that. The tea house near Lake Louise. There's
I
a
wanna
tea
go.
house, Christy.
I'm going.
Okay. I think I'm 1 for 3
Do they
at
have
this
tea
point.
in Antarctica?
No,
Probably
probably not.
What? Probably to
No,
keep
tea
warm.
doesn't exist there. Only penguins. All right, next one. Jaina on Twitter says Australia, preferably alone, so I could explore the wildlife and everything that
Interesting.
makes that place so beautiful. Also, traveling alone is on my bucket list, but as a woman, it might not ever be a reality.
That's a good question. So, would you ever travel alone? Have you ever traveled alone?
As not a woman, I mean,
Sure. Sorry.
I'm answering as a man.
Yes.
I would much rather travel places with you and share those experiences with you.
Ah.
I wouldn't be worried about my safety traveling alone in most places I'm interested in going
But
to.
would you want to travel alone? Say you're not worried about your safety. Is that something that you would find
I want
joy
to
in?
travel with you, but it's not because of a lack of feeling safe. I mean, there's certain countries I wouldn't go to alone or with a group or without an armed guard. Like, I don't want to single anyone out specifically, but there are countries that are more safe than others to travel to.
Mm-hmm. But assuming you're going to a country where you're not worried about like your safety, would you even bother going alone, or it's like it's not worth it?
Well, like if I can never convince you to go on vacation, I might just start going on solo vacation.
Oh, so you really want to go that badly?
But no, I want to go with you. Have I said that
know.
enough times?
We go places. Okay, we went to Banff. We go to Florida.
As long as you can get
We'll
a YouTube
find
video
some
of it,
other
right? Actually, how do you feel about this? I guess someone who's not
think you
interested
know
in
the
traveling,
answer.
you probably haven't thought of it much, but I guess you would never travel alone, I assume.
No, but that's just it's not because I'm afraid. Like the reason that comes even before thinking about all of that is that I just don't have the same travel itch that I think average people have more than I do.
It was kind of a bummer reading this, though, because I don't think Australia is a place that you should be fearful of traveling alone. It's, no more than you would traveling in America or Canada alone as a woman. Like, I don't know how day to day, I'm not sure how scared women are of being alone in different situations, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make.
I mean, I wouldn't go in an Uber alone.
Yeah, but
that's just me, and maybe I'm a little bit more neurotic. I know plenty of other women who would go in an Uber alone and they're not afraid. And
so yeah, it really depends on, I guess.
it depends on you and your own mental state.
No, yeah, that's a sad reality, I guess a lot of women have to consider if they want to travel alone.
Yeah, I just hope that it isn't the fact that you're a woman that is the barrier to you traveling alone, because that would be sad if you felt like that was the reason, because you just didn't want to be a woman in a city where you felt at risk of something.
Yeah, well, I hope Jaina, I hope you make it to Australia, and I hope that works out for you. I would recommend going to Australia.
Just call up Ben; he might be there one day.
Yeah, we'll go together. Cristine won't come. I'll take you. All right. Next suggestion is from Tough Hufflepuff. At home by myself for a full 48 hours, alone, surrounded by snacks and silence.
Wow, she must be loving this home quarantine.
I guess I did suggest dream vacation and didn't specify destination, but I wasn't expecting people to be like.
But that's fair and something we don't think about because we don't have kids. So right now, to this point, we've been talking about vacations that maybe we've been on with family or just while we're older, just us. But if you're a parent with kids, generally you have to bring your kids with you. Like, what are you going to do with them, right?
Do you have to, though?
And then it's maybe less of a vacation in the sense that you're not really getting a break from your day-to-day grind.
Dump them on your grandparents or something?
I mean, not everyone has access to maybe grandparents who are willing or able.
I'm being flippant. That is funny, though. Like, a lot of parents are like, yeah, my dream vacation is not being around my children.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, we have coworkers who definitely suggest, I mean, no, in my experience, no, but I know people who've had that experience and have voiced that all they want is to just like have a few days off with their kids.
Do you ever feel the opposite? Because maybe it's just like you desire what you don't have or can't have, right? So for this mom, she desires a break from that.
Yeah.
Do you ever, think a vacation for you would just be, taking care of someone else's screaming children for a few days?
Were you not on our relationship podcast? Like, who was I talking to?
I'm just poking fun at you. Good luck, tough Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
With
hang in there,
with
especially
your self-isolation.
Yeah, hang in there with the kids during this time, which could be weeks or months of, your kids never leaving you. So
just tell them to go to their room. Doesn't that work?
what if you just told the kids, like, the way this home quarantine is you have to stay in your room
The whole time. You can't
Wait,
come out.
that's not good either. That's
kind of
really
bordering
bad.
on child abuse.
Yeah, okay. Never mind. Pretend I didn't say that.
All right, next suggestion from Lou. A pizza taste test in around New York City. I like the idea of a trip being like themed or around a purpose. So like I don't think this is unusual for someone's dream to be like, I want to try every slice of pizza in every
All
pizza shop.
the hummus in the Mediterranean.
I know, yeah, you already sort of suggested it. I love that idea.
Where are oats made? Everywhere.
Where do oats come from?
Great.
You love oats. Haven't you considered where they come from?
I don't even know. Is it like wheat? Grains. Ground.
You tell me, oat queen.
Wow, I need to do my research.
I like the suggestion. When we were in New York, I always try to at least get a slice of pizza while we're in New York visiting
Threadbanger, when we were filming with them, they sort of did this?
So we went to...
Creator Summit in New York. Or no, not exactly New York.
Yeah, so I think it was Joe's Pizzeria in Brooklyn. I think was that's the name. Yeah. So I went back there last time we were there, actually, for just to get a slice. But yeah, they make a pizza that is a pizza within another pizza that's kind of shaped like a pizza box. So that was fun. You can watch that Threadbanger video featuring Cristine and Sophia and Tyler were in that one as well. Yeah. That was a fun one.
That was fun. Good times when we could go places with friends.
Okay. Next suggestion from Jessica Wetstein. Greece for culture and exploring, or Fiji for a relaxing beach. Fiji, Cristine, Fiji.
If I had to pick one?
No, I'm saying either of these. Anything. Would you go to Fiji with
Fiji
me?
sounds nice, but I wonder if we
They got Fiji water there.
Yes, man, I know.
The water, straight to the source.
Sure, I just question whether or not Fiji has just been made to sound like this idyllic place because of Fiji water, and it's just created an aesthetic around it. But I really have no idea of what the reality of Fiji is actually like.
Well, there's only one way to find out. We're going. Tell Tati she can come too. Get some water together.
Get some Tati water.
Yeah, I would go to Fiji. Actually, on that point, like Fiji and like Bora Bora, isn't that where the Beauty Guru brand trips are?
You want to go to those?
Couldn't you just get us a ticket on let's go tripping with Tarte. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
Although, like, I looked into Bora Bora once because that's like the fancy
with all the
huts in the water.
Why does everyone go there, or all these influencers go there?
I get that it would be super cool to stay in a hotel room that is literally like just
floating
perched above the water, and you can just jump out of your hotel room right into an ocean and swim. But at the same time, is there anything else interesting to do around Bora Bora?
Can you walk around?
Because like, am I taking a 20-hour flight to go to Bora Bora just to be in a hut on the water? Can I not just build a hut in the water somewhere else?
On a lake?
Is there something else interesting about Bora Bora, I guess is my question. I
don't really know.
Speaking from a position of ignorance, I don't know much about Bora Bora.
Yeah.
All I know about it is what the beauty gurus show me when they're tripping with Tarte.
Which is that there's
hashtag tripping with Tarte, hashtag I would like a vacation Tarte.
Nope.
No.
I will not forward you that email.
All right, Fiji. Greece, I already mentioned, like a place like Santorini is somewhere I will admit
it looks really nice there.
I think the issue there is some of these places have become so popular that, so Santorini, there's a famous tip of the island where people try to get that picture of the sunset over the volcano, right? And it's gorgeous.
With the white buildings.
But you can also find pictures of people taking a step back and being like, here is a picture of everyone trying to get a picture of the sunset. And it's just like a mosh pit of people all lining up trying to get a picture of the sunset.
They're not social
right?
distancing.
No. I mean, maybe that's not happening right now, but I think Santorini has become like such a popular destination that it's almost like overwhelming, right? And if you don't want crowds of people,
it's like so cool it's not cool anymore kind of thing.
That's right. You know, like I used to listen to the White Stripes, and then they became popular, and I'm like, I can't like them anymore.
That's what happened with Avril Lavigne.
Really?
Yeah,
you liked her before she was popular?
Before she was a skater boy.
Didn't she like bust onto the scene with Skater Boy, and that was like her first album?
No.
She had music before Skater Boy?
She did, but it just like wasn't that popular.
But you liked it?
Yeah.
Was she still wearing ties back then?
Yeah.
Was she a skater girl?
Yeah. Okay, anyways, next question.
Our next suggestion.
Your brother.
From Abstract Matt on Instagram.
This is Ben's brother.
Armenia. Yeah, if you want to follow my brother.
Why
on
is your
Instagram.
brother having full out like conversations in our
Well, no,
Instagram
so he was
posts?
replying to me. So I asked him, like, of all the places, why Armenia? And his response is, the Armenian people have probably the most fascinating and tragic history of any nation. Armenians have been an important part of the fabric of basically every cosmopolitan city for centuries. They taught the court of the Ethiopian Empire. They were important traders in colonial Malaysia. And the four quarters of Old Jerusalem are the Muslim, Jewish, Christian, and Armenian.
Your brother is so intelligent and worldly. It's just like amazing.
So my brother is also a very well-traveled person.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the opposite
and he
of
travels
you.
alone like every month.
He travels a lot. Right now, he's really bummed out because I don't think anything makes him happier than traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I would encourage him to settle down, but I just...
He's been everywhere. His shorter list would be places that he...
Yeah, I should ask him for an actual list, and I think it would blow people away because he works a job. I won't say what exactly, but he can work remotely. He just has to be awake during business hours in North America, or like East Coast 9 to 5 time. So there are times where I'll call him up or send him a message, and he goes like, "Oh, I'm just in Spain right now," but he has to be up all night because he has to be awake during regular hours. He can work from wherever, but so yeah, he's been some exotic places.
Been everywhere.
He's been some places that like I think aren't even really all that safe to go to as well. But yeah, he's like the opposite of us.
Where has your brother not been?
I don't know. I'll give him a call after this, and he can tell you where he has.
I feel bad for him because now because now he can't go anywhere, and I know that makes him happy.
He is pretty bummed. I'm pretty sure he's saying Armenia also because that was the next trip he was going to
go on. Aww.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
Yeah,
he'll be all right. And I can't say that Armenia's on my short list of dream vacations, but to each their own. I'm sure it's a very lovely place with a lot of history. All right. From Ramanda Mamirez, anywhere COVID-19 hasn't hit.
Isn't that just
Laughing
Antarctica?
emoji monkey. Yeah, you're going to have to go visit those penguins, girl.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm a penguin and I got pink feet, but only one's pink.
All right, next suggestion.
Comment below if you know where that's from.
From Amanda.yap. Paris, France, so I can visit the catacombs. I remember in high school we had a presentation on our dream holiday, and I had a friend who wanted to go to Paris for the shopping. But there was me wanting to see bones and skulls. # cool kid.
What is the catacombs?
The catacombs of Paris are underground ossuaries in Paris, France, which hold the remains of more than 6 million people in a small part of a tunnel network built to consolidate Paris's ancient stone quarries.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You want to go see some bones, Cristine?
Oh my god.
I had to look that up. Like I'm aware of them, but I didn't know much about it. I have to say, Paris, France in general aren't really high on my list of places to go.
You want to go make out at the Eiffel Tower, Benjamin?
No, I mean we could get by with the French we know, I suppose, but
no, we couldn't. Because
they would look down
we
at
speak, I guess, Canadian French, Anglophone French.
I have to admit though, like I have a few friends who have been to France, and they all come back with some stories about feeling like people there were a little arrogant, not all that
rude
nice
to them because they were not local.
Bit. I don't offend anybody.
That's sad.
But I guess I at least appreciate that you want to go for the history
to look at
and
bones.
culture rather than just to go shopping.
I appreciate your reasoning rather than getting a Gucci bag or Fendi. I don't know, whatever's French. Hermes. A Birkin bag.
You tell me. All right, next one from Alexia on Twitter. Honestly, Canada. I've always wanted to visit and see how different it is from America. Go to the touristy spots, see snow for the first time. I'm from Florida, so it's always hot here, and I would like to experience such a change in weather.
That is so cool and crazy to think about, that there's people who have never seen snow.
Is it that crazy to think
about? It is. Like, it's just so wild. Like, I'm trying to imagine.
There's a lot of people who live places that never
I know,
get snow.
but isn't it kind of fascinating? Like, I would be so curious about snow if I'd never seen snow. It's just so light and fluffy, and it stacks up several feet high, and it falls from the sky what seems like indefinitely. It's crazy. Like, rain just, like, goes away. Like, it just goes down the drain. Snow does not, usually. I mean, like, stacks up, and then it's just, you've built, like, giant forts around your house, and then you're just, your whole town is just covered in feet of
snow.
Covered in lots of feet of snow.
Wow, yeah, you're fascinated by this, eh?
Yeah,
the idea of not knowing snow. I think Canada is a cool destination for people, but
it's more
even
of
if
an
you
adventure.
have seen snow before,
I'd say, yeah, if you want to come to Canada, like, that's awesome. That's really cool. And I would do it as more of an adventure vacation, right?
Why is that? Like, or what are you thinking?
Well, when people think of relaxing vacations, they think of Florida, where she's from, or the Caribbean, where you go sit on a beach.
Sure.
But a more adventure style vacation,
okay.
Canada, I think, is a great place because we have, like, tons of cool mountains and hiking and trips and different wildlife, and there's, like, camping, and there's different waterfalls and shit. It just seems like more of an adventure location.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, if someone told me they were going to take one trip to Canada, maybe I would suggest they go to Calgary and Banff instead of Toronto or Ottawa, right?
Well, it depends what you're into. I guess I was just thinking of the scenery and the nature and the fun things to do, like activities like that. But if you're into nightlife and clubbing, then I guess downtown Toronto, maybe the Montreal scene might appeal to some
Montreal's
people.
an interesting place. It's one of, like, it's got a bit of a European vibe without having to leave North America.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. And the drinking age is like 18 there. So I think a lot of Americans will travel
good point.
there. Yeah.
The whole province of Quebec, the drinking age is 18. I know, because we used to go over the border when I was
I'm sure you did.
17 using a fake ID to appear 18.
You couldn't even wait till you were 18? I couldn't even wait. No, Canada's, I don't mind repping Canada a little bit, Go to Vancouver, go to BC.
You're literally wearing a Canada hoodie.
I am wearing a Canada hoodie.
This was planned.
And I didn't mean to undersell Ottawa. Like, I think you could have a good time in Ottawa. It's kind of got some of the amenities you expect of a big city, but still a small town feel. It's a good sort of in between. You've got parliament, and galleries, and museums.
If you want to come to Ottawa, it's just so you can see where...
SimplyPodLogical.
No.
I came to Ottawa hoping to see Simply.
No, I mean, like, if you're interested in the government, like the fact that Prime Minister Trudeau lives here, you can go look at his general grounds or look at the Parliament buildings, that kind of stuff. But other than that, I wouldn't say Ottawa's, like, should be on anyone's major destination list.
Ottawa's all right.
It's a good place to live, I think. I really like the quality of life in Ottawa.
We have a cat cafe here.
We do, so.
There you go. All right, next one. Elizabeth Ann Calais says, I'd love to go back to Hawaii. It's just a gorgeous place. Plus, there were feral cats and chickens on some of the islands.
A feral cat has
appears.
On
Menchie.
the table.
How are you? What do you think, Cristine?
I've
Hawaii?
never been to Hawaii, but it does sound like somewhere I might be willing to go.
All right, so this might be your most positive reaction so far.
There's cats, so I might go. But that being
I didn't
said,
see any cats when I was there, but
no?
I'll let you think
I'm not
that.
going anywhere.
No, there are cats apparently. There are feral cats.
Menchie. There's cats. When I was on the cruise, actually, and we were first ported in San Juan, I remember there was a bunch of feral cats everywhere. And I was at first really excited, and then I realized it just seemed like they were all pretty much homeless and were starving and didn't appear well fed or well taken care of. Yeah, and I think that there might have been just like a cat population problem,
sure,
at least in the region I was, because I looked it up later because I was very concerned.
Yeah, no, that is very
Yeah.
likely the case. Chances are the tourists probably keep them.
Oh, I was feeding them.
I'm sure you were.
Where can I buy cat food? They like charge tourists like $10 for a tiny thing of cat treats because they know that we just feel bad. Stupid
wow.
Canadians.
Yeah, that is kind of a problem. Santorini, I've heard the same thing. Apparently there are a lot of cats on that island. So Hawaii, this has been your most positive response so far,
Hawaii?
though. Hawaii,
You
yeah?
might be able to get me there.
Oh, okay.
In 2024, when the world is clear of the virus.
Gotta wait how much longer?
I don't know, however long it takes, Ben. I'm not going
Maybe
anywhere.
that
I'm not
wouldn't be
leaving this house for a while.
Do they have any confirmed cases? Maybe that's just a smart place to be right now.
On an island away from everyone?
Separated from people?
I don't know.
Maybe?
I'm nervous about it.
All right. I support this suggestion. And last one. At this stage in the lockdown, the toilet on my own without World War V happening in the kitchen. That's what you're dreaming about right now, Karen? Karen on Facebook?
Karen's got her whole family. She's stuck in the house with all her boys, her 7 boys. And she just doesn't want shit to go down in the kitchen. You know what, Karen? You know, I respect that.
Don't make fun of Karen.
I'm not making fun of Karen. I understand.
Do you understand?
I was reflecting.
What's going on in your kitchen?
Well, just you making me dinner tonight. But I was reflecting on what if this had happened, this situation, when I had 5 roommates. Like, it would be just completely different. And how would I feel? And how would I cope?
Yeah, how
right?
would
Like
you
it's
feel?
just such a my heart goes out to everyone who's, you know, lives with a bunch of roommates, or maybe they can't go home because they don't want to put their parents at risk, or maybe they just like live too far from home, or maybe in their house they live with a lot of family members and their peace was being able to leave the house and go do, you know, things on their own life, go to work, see friends, and now they're just stuck at home.
Yeah, what would be worse right now? Being in a household full of too many people, or being stuck alone in self-isolation?
I think
wonder.
both of them have pros and cons.
Sure, yeah.
Or cons in this context.
Just cons.
Just cons. I mean, if you're stuck.
Yeah.
I
like we're only driving each other crazy at this point.
Yeah, like Ben and I haven't seen other people except for each other.
I thought we agreed we're not seeing other people.
We've agreed we're not seeing other people at this time. Like literally haven't seen any other people with our eyes.
Yeah. We're doing okay though. We're not complaining. I hate when like we have the means to stay home. We're fine. We've got food.
Yeah.
Like, did you see those celebrities tweeting out them singing that song the other day? They're all singing Imagine by John Lennon from their mansions. Like, they're fine. Like, yeah, we can all get sick because we're all human. Mm-hmm. But like, these celebrities are not facing the economic consequences that a lot of people are, where they just don't have job security or food security, right?
I don't think that they obviously, I don't think their intent was to make people feel bad. I just think that they were completely ignorant to the fact that they're singing from their 25,000 square foot mansions, fully equipped with all these activities and gyms and movie theaters in their homes. Like they have all these things to do,
and they're like, we're all in this together.
And it's like, okay, but you have it
are we
way
in this together?
Sure, but you have it way easier than
the
majority of the population. So yeah, that sucks. So Ben and I acknowledge that we don't have it that hard. So we're never complaining.
Yeah, we're not complaining.
We're not complaining.
We're just driving each other.
We're just driving each other crazy. But we have our cats, right?
I'm surprised we haven't seen more videos from YouTubers being like,
Do I have coronavirus?
Yeah, more like clickbaity garbage, you know?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of encouraging, or a nice surprise that hasn't happened.
Coronavirus test. Is it positive? Question mark? Exclamation mark?
Also, we should acknowledge that you just uploaded a video to SimplyPodLogical. That was just the cats being cute for like 12 minutes the other day.
It really helped people.
Did that help?
Yeah.
I think it helped you making it.
It helped me making it. So maybe I was just being selfish. But I'm like,
a little bit.
This is the only video I feel like making right now because I'm kind of bummed. And it's okay to be upset, you know, even though staying home isn't the worst thing in the world, but I am just sad that I can't go to work. Wait, before you interpret that wrong, I just like the social activity of walking to work, talking to people there, and, you know, I miss that in my life. I really do enjoy going,
which I think
going
kind
to
of
my day
surprised you. since you
Yeah.
are such a...
I miss that. I miss talking to some of my coworkers, having the tea club. It's just like little things like that. So
Well, I know Menchie and Zyler love having us home.
yeah, they're obsessed with us.
They're
like,
loving
you're
their
never
life."
leaving again.
Nope.
Actually, speaking of vacations with the cats hate it when we go on vacation because when we come back, they're all like mad at us.
I know.
They're like, "Oh, I remember you, but I'm not coming near you for now."
Well, Zyler's just happy we're home. Menchie sort of holds a grudge, and she's like a princess for the first few hours or that first night, being like, "Oh, now you're back? Now you're here?"
Yeah.
What a baby.
No, baby. Just silly.
Well, anyway, I think that's it for today then. Hopefully this was a bit of a distraction from everything going on in the world right now.
You know what you can do during this time of staying home
What can we
is
do?
plan vacations. There's nothing preventing you from planning a dream vacation. And maybe it's not a reality yet, you know, for COVID-19 reasons or financial reasons or just whoever you're with. But, you know, you can always dream, and that's kind of the point of dream vacations.
Sometimes there's more fun planning a vacation than even taking it. Just plan a bunch of vacations and you don't even have to go on them.
I feel like that's what you do.
I enjoy
plan a lot
planning.
of
I like
vacations,
planning things almost as much as doing them in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
So what's our podcast next week, Ben?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But our apologies to Casey Neistat. We were supposed to have him on as a guest today, but we ran out of time. He couldn't travel to us.
He couldn't travel to us?
He couldn't get on the plane. He was going to take a helicopter. He was going to like rappel from like a rope ladder from the bottom of a helicopter. But
Would it be captured by drone footage?
Yeah, we looked into getting a drone just to drop him off here, but DJI didn't want to sponsor the video.
That's unfortunate.
I know, it's too bad.
really
So
too bad.
I guess we'll just have to see if we can get him another time. But we'll see you next Taco Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see
Hope
y'all
everyone
later.
is doing well.
Wash your hands.
Thanks so much for watching,
Bye.
and we'll see y'all later. Bye.